You could be losing luck right now and not even know it. Not because of fate, not because of age, but because of your home. The truth is painful but simple. Most people live in houses that slowly push fortune away. Not from chaos or clutter, but from stillness, from silence, from energy that's been forgotten. You follow the routine. You clean the floors, light incense, say your evening prayers, but something still feels stuck. Business doesn't flow. Sleep feels thin. Emotions stay heavy. And you wonder, what am I missing? Let me tell you what the wealthy and spiritually grounded never forget. Fortune lives in movement. Bad luck grows in stillness. When air no longer moves, when furniture never shifts, when the altar grows cold, even if unnoticed, energy begins to die. And when energy dies, so does prosperity. That's why today's video is not decoration, it's direction. I'll show you the 7 quiet rituals that wealthy homes never forget. Not because they're fancy, but because they work. Each one protects your home like a quiet guardian. Each one clears the heaviness you've been carrying without knowing. Each one helps your space begin to breathe again. Because here's the deepest truth. Your home is not just where you live, it's what you attract. And right now it might be attracting loss. Let's change that starting today. Section 1. The window that forgot to breathe. There's a reason some homes feel heavy even when they're spotless. The floor may shine, the furniture might be polished, the altar may sit perfectly arranged, but the air, still, stale, silent. And that stillness is not peace. It's a sign that your fortune may be suffocating. In Feng Shui, the breath of a home is not symbolic, it's vital. Just like the lungs keep our bodies alive, windows are the lungs of your space. And when they stay shut, day after day, week after week, energy dies. It doesn't scream, it doesn't collapse, it just fades. You might notice it in small ways, sleep that never feels deep, plants that wilt faster than usual, moments of sadness that seem to come out of nowhere, or simply that quiet feeling, something's not moving. What you're feeling isn't superstition, it's real. Because when air stops flowing, Kai stops circulating. And without circulation, there is no life, no clarity, no abundance. In ancient Eastern tradition, homes were not designed just for shelter. They were designed to breathe with the people inside. Windows were placed to catch the morning breeze, to greet the first light, to allow negative air to drift out with the night. But modern life has replaced breath with control. We shut tight every window. We close the blinds. We block the wind to protect our home, and in doing so, we trap the very thing we need most, living energy. A home without moving air becomes like a sealed jar. Inside, your thoughts swirl, your luck slows. Your body feels heavier even if nothing has changed in your routine. You may clean obsessively. You may pray, but if the air doesn't move, your prayers may not leave the room. I once visited a woman in her 60s, elegant, warm, deeply spiritual. She kept her altar glowing, her floors immaculate, yet her business had stalled. Her back ached. Her sleep broke at 3 a.m. every night. She said, "I'm doing everything right. Why does it still feel like something is pressing down on me?" We walked through her home. It was beautiful, but every window was shut. Curtains drawn, corners dim. The house felt like it was holding its breath. That's when I told her, "Your home is full, but it's not alive." We opened one window in the kitchen, just one, and within minutes the room felt different. A breeze swept through, rustling the bamboo plant. The smell of old air lifted, and the woman, her eyes welled up. "It feels like I can finally breathe," she whispered. "That's not metaphor, that's energy. So here's what to do. Don't just clean your space. Let it exhale. Let it breathe. Let it live again. Every morning, open one window even for 5 minutes. Let the early light enter. Let the wind carry out what you can't see." If your windows are blocked, rearrange furniture to invite airflow. Add a wind chime in the corner. It doesn't just make sound, it reminds the room that it's meant to move. And above all, do this with intention. Say quietly, "With this wind, I release what no longer serves. I welcome what is meant for me." Because fortune doesn't arrive in noise or drama. It enters quietly, through a window that remembers how to breathe. Section 2. Salt that carries what you can't see. You've been feeling tired lately. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but something deeper. A weight behind your eyes, a heaviness in your chest. You can't quite explain it, but you feel it. A kind of sadness that isn't yours. What if that weight isn't coming from your body, but from your space? We often think of salt as something simple, just a kitchen item. But in many cultures, salt is sacred. It doesn't just season food, it absorbs what you cannot see. In Feng Shui, salt is known as the quiet purifier. It draws in what words can't release. Grief, jealousy, tension, invisible shadows from visitors, sorrow from the past, salt carries it all. And it asks for nothing in return. Think about this. How many people have entered your home carrying pain, stress, or bitterness? How many arguments have echoed through the walls? How many nights have you cried in silence, then swept the floor the next day like nothing happened? The space remembers, even when you try to forget. And over time, if left uncleansed, those energies settle. They sit in corners. They hide beneath furniture. They whisper through your dreams. You wake up tired, you argue over nothing. Money seems to disappear. And deep down, something inside you says, it shouldn't feel this hard to live. That's when salt becomes your quiet ally. In Japan, people scatter salt at their door after a funeral. In Vietnam, coarse salt is placed on altars to absorb sorrow. In spiritual homes across Asia, salt isn't for flavor, it's for freedom. There's a woman I once knew, early 60s, running a small family spa. Lovely space, but she always looked drained. Clients came and went. Income came and vanished. Her hands were always cold. She said, "I've done everything I can. Still, it feels like something is sitting on my back." So I asked her, "When was the last time you cleaned your house, not with water, but with energy?" She stared. "I never thought of that." We began with one small act. A bowl, 6 coins, a handful of coarse salt, a bit of water, placed in the wealth corner of her home, southeast. Within 10 days, she called. "I sleep through the night. Clients are rebooking. My house feels different." It's not magic, it's movement. Salt doesn't create fortune, it clears the path for it to arrive. So here's how to work with it. 1. The shoulder throw. If you've been to a hospital, funeral, or tense conversation, take a handful of salt. Stand still. Breathe. Throw it firmly over your left shoulder, never the right. Don't look back. Don't speak. Let it carry away what followed you home. 2. The salt bath. After a long day, dissolve 1 cup of coarse salt in warm water. Add a few drops of lemongrass, peppermint, or ginger oil. At the end of your bath, pour this water from your neck down. Close your eyes. Picture every thought, emotion, and fatigue sliding off your skin. 3. The bowl ritual. Place a glass or ceramic bowl filled with salt in the southeast corner of your home. Add 6 coins, a little water. This is your energy filter. If the salt changes color, bubbles, or develops film, replace it. That's not decay, that's proof it's working. And most of all, do it with presence. Salt carries intention. If you pour it mindlessly, it does nothing. But if you place it with care, with breath, with softness, it becomes a silent protector. Because in the end, what we carry matters less than what we clear. You deserve a home that doesn't hold your grief, your fear, or the sadness of others. You deserve a space that feels light again. And salt remembers what you're ready to release, even when you can't say it out loud. Section 3. Stones that speak a different language. You might be wearing the wrong stone right now, and it could be why things feel off. Not because it's cursed, not because it's broken, but because it doesn't recognize you. Energy is like language, and if your stone doesn't speak yours, it cannot protect you. Jewelry has always carried more than beauty. In spiritual tradition, every stone holds vibration, memory, and magnetism. It can soothe a heart, protect a path, or amplify confusion, depending on how it matches the one who wears it. That's why in ancient dynasties, emperors and merchants never chose stones by color or style. They consulted elemental guides, masters who understood the invisible dialogue between birth energy and mineral force. Because when aligned, the bond between person and stone creates a subtle harmony, a kind of spiritual handshake. The stone becomes a filter for the world's chaos, a companion in silent protection, but when mismatched, the stone becomes noise, it distracts, it drains, it disturbs the flow, and you feel it, not as pain but as friction, mood swings. Restless sleep, strange irritation, a fog that won't lift, not enough to send you to a doctor, but just enough to slow your joy. One woman shared her story. She wore a gorgeous red bracelet gifted by her daughter. Carnelian, warm, bold, beautiful, but within weeks she couldn't sleep. Her chest felt tight, her thoughts raced. She said, "I loved it, but something about it made me feel anxious." We checked her birth element, metal. Fire, red stones, melts metal, a clash of energies. She replaced it with lemon quartz, still warm but rooted in earth, which supports metal. Within days, the tightness faded. Within weeks, her sleep returned. That is the power of speaking the right energetic language. Here's a gentle guide based on elemental match. Metal, deep yellows, earthy browns, e.g. lemon quartz citrine. Avoid reds and oranges. Wood, blues and blacks, e.g. Lapis lazuli obsidian. Avoid whites and metallics. Water, light blues, whites, e.g. aquamarine moonstone. Avoid yellows and browns. Fire, greens, purples, soft pinks, e.g. amethyst, jade, rose quartz. Avoid blacks or grays. Earth, oranges, purples, warm yellows, e.g. tiger's eye amber. Avoid greens, wood depletes earth. But it's not just the type, it's the way you wear it. Left wrist for receiving, right wrist for releasing. Wear it on the left when you're signing contracts, meeting new people, or inviting blessings. Wear it on the right when you're visiting hospitals, cemeteries, or facing emotional conflict. And most importantly, never wear a stone that belonged to someone else without cleansing it. Stones remember everything: joy, sorrow, illness, grief. When you wear a used stone, you might inherit emotional residue that isn't yours. It's like borrowing a coat, warm on the outside, but you don't know what still lingers in the lining. So if you have inherited stones, bracelets, pendants, altar pieces, cleanse them first. Place them under moonlight or early sunlight. Pass them through smoke from sacred herbs, pomelo leaves, cinnamon, sandalwood. Hold them in your palm. Breathe gently. Say, "May what was carried be released. May what remains be peace." Then listen. If it still feels uneasy, don't wear it. Place it in a quiet corner wrapped in cloth. Not all stones are meant to walk your journey. Choosing a stone is not about fashion. It's a whisper between you and the earth. When you choose right, the stone becomes part of your breath, your body's quiet shield. Place them with purpose, on your bedside to calm your sleep, near your altar to deepen presence, on your desk to support clarity. And once a month, cleanse them. They protect you, so return the care. Smoke, sunlight, salt, simple ways to say thank you. Because in the end, a stone is not lucky or unlucky. It is simply waiting to be in the right hands at the right time with the right heart. If you feel cloudy lately, if your words stumble, your emotions swing, or your luck feels dim, look at your wrist. Look at your altar. Look at what you're carrying. It might be beautiful, but does it speak your name? Section 4. Smoke that remembers your shadows. You may have left the argument behind, but did the energy? You walked away, you said your piece. The door closed, time passed, but the air, it stayed thick. The room still feels unsettled. You pause by the hallway, and for no clear reason, you avoid eye contact with your own home. That's not your imagination. That's memory still trapped in the walls. Every conversation leaves an imprint. Every emotion, a residue. Joy rises and vanishes, but anger, jealousy, grief, they stay, they settle, especially in quiet corners under beds behind doors that no longer open. And over time, that buildup changes your space. It changes you. You become more tired, more reactive, less clear. The house feels heavier. The air gets stiller. You sleep but don't rest. You walk into a room and feel a tension you didn't create but somehow carry. This is where smoke becomes your healer. In ancient traditions, smoke was never just scent, it was spirit. It moved like breath through the house, lifting what water couldn't touch. Pomelo peel, cinnamon bark, soapberry wood, each chosen for its ability to unbind trapped energy. The smoke rises, curls, and carries out what words cannot. Because sometimes what you carry isn't even yours. A woman once invited me into her home after her husband had passed. Months later, his shoes still sat by the door. His robe still hung in the bathroom, but what clung most wasn't the items, it was the air. She hadn't opened a window in 3 months. She whispered, "I don't want to forget him." I gently said, "Smoke doesn't erase love. It releases sorrow that forgot how to leave." We lit dried pomelo leaves, soapberry, a pinch of cinnamon. The smoke moved slowly across the altar into the hallway near the unused pillow. Within minutes, her face softened. Her shoulders dropped. She said, "I feel like he just told me it's okay." That is the medicine of sacred smoke. So how do you begin? Start in silence. Choose a morning when the house is still, or late afternoon when the light begins to soften. Burn a blend of dried pomelo peel, cinnamon stick, and soapberry. Place in a clay bowl or small pot. Let it smolder, not flame, just smoke. Begin at your front door. Walk clockwise through each room, slow, steady. Let the smoke reach corners, under tables, behind doors. These are the forgotten places where old energy hides. Keep a window slightly open to give the past a way out. And as you walk, breathe deeply. Let your pace be prayer. Repeat softly. Darkness dissolves, light returns, peace flows in, I am protected. It doesn't have to be dramatic, it has to be real. This ritual isn't about spectacle, it's about sincerity. You may feel nothing at first, or you may cry. Or sigh, that's your body remembering how to let go. Repeat this ritual every new moon, every full moon. Or whenever the air feels too still, the mood too sharp, the sleep too restless. If you don't have herbs, use sandalwood incense. Natural, not synthetic. Even a single stick with your full presence can shift the entire vibration of a room. And afterward, take time to sit. Let the silence return, but softer this time. Let your home find its own breath again. Because your house is not just bricks and beams. It is a memory keeper, a spirit holder, a mirror, and smoke. Smoke is the gentle hand that wipes the mirror clean. So if your home feels too full of things you cannot name, start with a spark. Let the smoke rise. Let the past pass through, not to forget, but to release what was never meant to stay. Section 5. The altar that waits without a voice. There is a quiet place in your home that once held your voice. It used to be sacred. You lit incense with both hands. You whispered names with reverence. You spoke your heart, asking for health, protection, or simply a little peace. And the air somehow felt warmer afterward. But now something has changed. You still light incense, You still place fruit, pour water, maybe bow your head. But the connection, it feels distant. You can't explain it, but the altar seems still in a way it never used to. Not calm, disconnected, like a phone left off the hook. You go through the motions, but deep down something feels lost. And maybe it's this: you stopped speaking, not because you meant to. Life just got full. Emotions got complicated. And slowly the words you used to say, the names, the prayers, the thank yous, turned silent. But here's what no one tells you. Altars are not maintained by candles or fruit. They are powered by presence. They respond to voice. They protect what is remembered. In many Eastern traditions, the family altar is the bridge between two worlds. It is where gratitude and guidance meet, where those who came before continue to walk beside you, not in form, but in force. When that bridge is crossed often, it stays strong. But when it is left unused, it begins to fade. That fading shows up in strange ways. Your home feels less grounded. You begin to lose things: keys, memory, direction. Small accidents start happening. You feel watched, yet alone. And yet all of this can be shifted, gently, simply, with intention. A woman once told me she had moved her altar 3 times in 6 months. Each time her sleep worsened. Her youngest granddaughter became moody and distant. "I keep it clean," she said, "but something doesn't feel right." I asked her, "When was the last time you spoke your own name while lighting the incense?" She paused, her eyes watered. "I don't remember." That afternoon, we stood by her altar. She lit 3 sticks of pure sandalwood. With her palms pressed and her voice shaking, she said, "My name is Thur. I live in this home. I offer this light to my father, to my grandmother, to those who guided me here." Then she whispered, "Please help me remember who I am." The smoke swirled upward, the room changed. It wasn't magic, it was memory returning. You see, when we stop calling out, the spirits don't leave, they simply wait. They wait for sound, for breath, for a moment of truth spoken out loud. So if your altar has grown quiet, let today be the day it hears your voice again. You don't need special training, you don't need long chants, you just need presence. Begin by refreshing the space. Wipe the altar with a cloth soaked in salt water, not harshly, gently, like tending to someone asleep. Replace the water bowl, remove old fruit, offer something fresh, even a single flower. Light 3 sticks of incense, not 2. 2 is for parting, 3 is for harmony, heaven, earth, and you. And speak, say your full name, say where you live. Say who the incense is for. Even if you don't know your lineage well, you can still say, "I offer this to those who walked before me, who helped build the path I now walk." Speak your wish, not for money, not for miracles. Just something real. "Please calm my heart. Please help me trust again. Please stay with me." Then be still. Let the smoke rise. Let the silence settle. Let your ancestors recognize the home again, not by its walls, but by your voice. Because in the end, the altar does not need grand rituals. It needs to feel alive. It needs to be spoken to. And maybe after you do, you'll feel a shift, like something unseen has stepped closer. Like the floor beneath your feet just got firmer. Not because you asked for a blessing, but because you remembered where blessings come from. And when you speak again, the altar will listen. It always has. It was just waiting for your voice to return. Section 6. Water that carries silent weight. Water is supposed to cleanse. It's supposed to soothe, refresh, and release. But sometimes, after a long shower or warm bath, you step out and still feel heavy, not on your body, but inside your chest. A fog behind your eyes, a sigh you can't quite let out. That's when you know the water washed your skin but didn't touch your energy. We grow up believing that water removes everything. Dirt, sweat, pain, we soak. We scrub, we rinse. But no one ever taught us that water also listens. that it remembers, that it holds what we pour into it, emotion, exhaustion, grief, and carries it back unless we ask it to let go. In ancient traditions across Asia, water was more than cleansing, it was ceremony. Before temple visits, elders bathed in silence, not just to be clean, but to be clear, to release what didn't belong, to meet the sacred without the dust of sorrow still clinging to the skin. A woman once shared that for weeks after her husband's illness worsened, she began showering late at night. No light, no words, just water running. "I thought I was rinsing it off," she said, "but the more I washed, the heavier I felt." We talked gently about what her water might be holding. Fear, guilt, sleepless prayers, none of it visible, but all of it remembered. That's when I introduced her to the ritual bath, not just for the body, but for the unseen. It starts with salt, coarse, natural, a handful dissolved in warm water, salt that remembers how to absorb what the heart cannot name. Then a few drops of oil, lemongrass for release, peppermint for clarity, ginger for strength. Scents not just to smell, but to shift. She poured it from neck to feet slowly with breath, and with every pass of water she whispered, "Take what I no longer need." The next morning she texted, "My chest feels light. I didn't cry, but I finally slept." That's the power of water that's been given permission to carry, to cleanse, to free. So how can you make this your practice? Begin with a quiet space. No phone, no lights too bright, just the sound of water, the pulse of breath. Prepare your elements. 1 cup of coarse salt, a bowl of warm water, 3 drops of oil. Choose what your body craves without needing to explain. Stand with intention, not to rinse, but to release. Let the water flow from your neck down, not your face, not your crown. This direction matters. It signals downward movement, letting go. Let it run over your shoulders, your heart, your hips, your knees, your feet. Not rushed, not robotic, feel it. Even if your mind resists, your body remembers. And with each pour, say gently, "May what is heavy leave me, may what is light return." When you finish, don't towel off quickly. Let the water dry slowly on your skin. Let the space settle. Open a window, even a crack. Let the moisture carry away what was never yours to hold. You can do this weekly, or whenever the weight builds and you don't know where it came from. After long hospital visits, after goodbyes, after family arguments that leave no scars but deep bruises. And if baths aren't possible, adapt. Soak your feet. Wash your hands in salt water. Pour the bowl slowly into the sink while whispering your release. The ritual matters more than the format, because in the end, you are not just cleaning your body. You are reminding your soul that it doesn't have to carry everything alone. Water has always held us, in birth, in healing, in grief. But it can only carry what we allow it to take. So speak, pour, release. Let the tears come if they must. Let the silence arrive if it needs to. And when you dry yourself, know this. You didn't just bathe. You returned a weight that was never yours to hold. Section 7. Furniture that faces away from your future. You may have arranged your home with care. The sofa fits the wall perfectly. The bed feels cozy. The desk has everything within reach, but something still feels blocked. Your work doesn't flow. Your sleep breaks at the same hour. You wake up feeling like you never rested. Opportunities pass, but none stay. You say, maybe it's just age or luck or the season. But sometimes it's the direction your life is facing. In Feng Shui, the placement of furniture, especially where we sleep, sit, and work, is not just about comfort. It's about alignment, because where your body points, your energy follows. And if your bed faces the wrong way, you may be facing away from your own future. A bed facing a door becomes vulnerable. A desk against a wall becomes trapped. A chair backed by empty space becomes unstable. None of this is dramatic. It doesn't shout, but slowly it shows, in a heart that hesitates, in a mind that forgets, in a path that circles back to where it started. I once visited a retired teacher, dignified, thoughtful, but restless. She said, "I don't know why, but I can't seem to plan anything anymore. I start and stop." Her bed placed under a beam with her feet facing the doorway. Her desk tucked into a corner facing a blank wall, her armchair. In the center of the room, with its back to the entire house. Everything looked beautiful, but everything blocked her. We made 3 simple shifts. We moved the bed so her head rested against a solid wall, not a window, not a door. We turned the desk to face a window, giving her eyes somewhere to go. We pulled the chair to a wall and placed a small table beside it, giving her back support and purpose. 1 week later, she called. "I've started writing again. I'm dreaming again." She hadn't changed, her home had. Hear as how to invite the same quiet shift. Start with your bed. It's where your body rests, where your spirit travels. Avoid placing your feet toward the door. This is called the coffin position in many traditions, symbolic of departure. Instead, place your headboard against a solid wall, not under a window, not floating in space. A solid wall equals a solid life. It gives your subconscious a message: you are supported. Next, your desk. Face it toward natural light if possible. Let your eyes look forward, not into corners. If you must face a wall, place an inspiring object, something that lifts, not blocks. A small plant, a framed image of movement, a river, a path, a bird in flight. Because when your eyes see motion, your mind remembers momentum. Finally, your favorite seat. Whether it's a chair for reading, a place for tea, or your thinking corner, give it a back. Literally. Don't place it floating in the middle of a room with nothing behind it. Your energy will always feel exposed. Anchor it, place a wall, a screen, or a high-backed structure behind it. Even better, let it face something gentle, like a plant, a painting, or a window. And as you shift your space, speak gently. Let this new direction invite the life I'm ready to receive. Remember, this isn't about trends or minimalism. It's about recognizing when your home is quietly working against you. Because a misplaced chair might not just cause back pain, it might reflect emotional instability. A desk pressed into a corner may mirror how cornered you feel about your future. A bed without support may echo the fatigue you can't explain. This is not superstition. This is rhythm, the rhythm between your body and your space, the silent language of direction, flow, and belonging. And when you align with it, something simple but powerful happens. You feel supported again, not just physically but deeply, like life is no longer behind you pulling, but ahead of you and you're finally facing it. Sometimes the shift begins in silence, not with a loud change, not with a renovation, but with the simple act of moving a chair, opening a window, speaking a name you haven't said in years, pouring salt with care, lighting incense with breath, letting a stone rest on your palm long enough to remember you. You don't need to transform your house to invite luck. You only need to remind it, I am here, I am listening again, because luck never truly leaves. It just quiets itself when the home forgets how to welcome it. It curls behind curtains, tucks itself into corners, waits patiently by doors that stay closed. But the moment you shift even one thing with intention, the house exhales. The energy stirs, the path reappears. I once met a woman who hadn't opened her bedroom window since her husband passed. 10 years, same curtains, same direction, same air. When she finally touched the handle, just to clean it, it opened on its own. A breeze came through, warm and unexpected. She stood there for minutes, not crying, not thinking, just breathing. And in that moment, it wasn't the house that changed. It was her. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself, What part of my home has been waiting for me to return? Because sometimes healing begins, not with a prayers, but with a door gently opening.